My Carolina Panthers just finished one of the worst and most embarrassing seasons in the history of this franchise. And when that happens, as often as it does around here, you already know what that means. Black Monday is here, key cards are no longer working, and people are getting fired. And it is no longer soon to be changes. The changes are here. So in this video, we are going to discuss what has already went down and some of the changes that are soon to come in the near future. And we are going to get into all of that right after this.
I'm from the foe, you dig?
Welcome to The Way I See It with Jamario Rashad. This is a Carolina Panthers fan channel. Please do me a favor by hitting the like button, and please make sure you subscribe as I am on my road to 3K, trying to make sure my channel continues to grow this offseason. Now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and get to the aftermath of this BS season that we just completed. Now, the first and I guess the biggest news, because it is the most recent news, would be the departure, the firing, the thankful firing, and the thanks coming from us, Carolina Panthers Nation, the fan base, the firing of former GM Scott Fitterer, who in his tenure here in Carolina equated to 0 winning seasons. He did not draft a single Pro Bowler, and one of the most damning things on his entire tenure while here in Carolina is the fact that he signed his name and gave away David Tepper's money to the likes of Miles Sanders, who was absolutely terrible, ass, and any other synonym you can think of throughout this season. Miles Sanders embodied all of that bullshit. He is here because Scott Fitterer decided that D'Onta Foreman, the back that almost had 1,000 yards after nearly having no carries through the first 5 games of the first 5 games of the season last year, he was no longer good enough, and we just had to sign just some random little guy that was teammates with Yetur Gross-Matos, both second round picks, both not very damn good. But Scott Fitterer, as I mentioned, those were just 3 things that were for me. After that happened, those were the things that I just said, you know what, Scott can, let the door hit you with a good Lord split you. I don't want to see your ass anymore. But there was a snowball of things that happened throughout his time here. But I think it all can be whittled down, or his tenure here can be described or just boiled down to one word, and that to me is excuses. Whenever Scott Fitterer is discussed, you have those like me that are just completely disgusted and are not here to sit here and make excuses for this man, although there, I guess, may necessarily be some depending on who you ask. And then you have the others that feel as though they're being objective when they want to say that, oh, well, maybe he didn't have all the control on this, or that was a Matt Rule pick, or that was at the end of the day, he was signing his name on, he was signing off on this. He was the general manager, and his job is to go out and shop for these players. Although he does work in conjunction with the coaches, if the coaches made a bad decision, as I mentioned just one sentence ago, if they are working in conjunction, he also has to bear some of the bear some of that blame as well, is what I'm trying to say. He cannot just escape all culpability and just say, oh, well, he was just listening to somebody else. Well, what the hell is he here for? What is his job if he is only here to adhere to the wishes of somebody else? Oh, the coach wants this, so I guess I'm gonna go do it. You can get Suleiman to do that. You can get Dan Morgan to do that. Hell, you can get goddamn Nicole Tepper to do that. If all we're gonna do is sign people, hand out contracts, and just say, oh, the coach wants this guy, you go get him. No, that's not how it works. This guy, Scott Fitterer, and his scouts, the guys that he hired to go out there and scout the other teams, scout the practice squads, just to send down to the college levels to scout for the draft. These guys were all just absolutely ass. He drafted Ike Ekwonu in the top 10, and it's not even arguable anymore. Ike is a bust. Ike is not good. He gave up 19 sacks this season as a top 10 pick in just 2 years ago. Left tackle, supposed to be blocking for our franchise quarterback. Scott Fitterer, you cannot escape. To me, you cannot escape blame for that. So I cannot just let it slide. So all of these things, man, in addition to the fact that he chose to pay Robbie Anderson and then just a year later elect to just send him off into purgatory up in Miami, or just cut him or do whatever, and just carry that dead cap space while not fielding wide receivers the year after that could come in and be better than him. And I don't give a damn what anybody says. After watching the bullshit receivers that we had out there on the field this season, yes, Robbie Anderson is better than a lot of those guys. No, I'm not gonna name them, but I'm pretty sure you know that there were some guys out there that got some touches that were forced and it wasn't warranted. And yes, Robbie Chosen would have just been a better wide receiver than him, but he was on a different team. Okay, whatever. He gets into it with all that good shit. It falls back on. It falls back on Scott Fitterer. This is the same guy that elected to pay Ian Thomas. This is the same guy that elected to pay Dante Jackson while letting Hassan Reddick, somebody that came in and won the Defensive Player of the Year, was one of the best, is still currently to this day one of the best defensive linemen in the entire NFL to this day. He just let him walk. He just let him go. Stephon Gilmore, future Hall of Famer with plenty still left in the tank. He decided to say, you know what? We're gonna just pay the guy. We're just gonna pay the guy that we already have here. Not even the guy that he drafted. This was a Hurney draft pick that was Dante Jackson. He said, well, you know what? I guess he's homegrown. We're gonna pay him and let the older guy walk. How has that worked out for us? That is just complete bullshit. And yet again, he has never drafted a Pro Bowler. We don't have any All Pros, and his tenure here has been an absolute failure. So that is just a rundown and my thoughts on the firing of Scott Fitterer. It was completely warranted. It was completely necessary, and I am so glad that it came when it did, because I guess it was no point in firing him mid-season when you still had the middling practice squad call-ups or the potential trades that we could do. Nah, that was all bullshit, and I'm glad that nightmare is over. But now that I am done ranting about that, now I want to talk about the future. We can move past this bad experience that is the Frank Reich, Matt Rule, Scott Fitterer experience. We could put all that behind us. And now I would like to move into discussing who are the newer, first we're going to get into discussing the coaching candidates, and then we're going to end with the GM candidates. But before all of that, I would like to remind you all that this video and the way I see it is now partnered and sponsored by BetUS. If you use the affiliate link in the description of this video, you will get up to 125% bonus on an initial deposit of at least $100 when you choose to go on to their website and place your sports bets. This is 2024. North Carolina, where I'm sure most of you are watching this video are currently located. If you are of age, you know this is the year that we finally have legal sports betting. So be sure to get ahead of the game. Go ahead and get your profile set up and get ready to make this money this year throughout the or I guess next year, because the season's over with, but you know what I mean. Use the affiliate link, and when you do, just know that you are helping the channel. But now let's move into these coaching candidates, man. So as of today, the official Carolina Panthers website is keeping a coaching interview tracker, and that is where I'm pulling most of this information from. And if it had not been updated as of yet, I tried to go back and retroactively add it, and you'll see that upcoming with the GMs. But according to the Carolina Panthers website, the Carolina Panthers have requested permission to interview the following coaches: Ben Johnson, Bobby Slowick, Brian Callahan, Dan Quinn, Mike McDonald, Frank Smith, Raheem Morris, Todd Monken, and Dave Canales. Now, among all of these guys, I am not going to sit up here and cap and act as if I pay so close attention to these other teams that I can give you what I like and don't like about their specific coordinator. Like, no. Don't let guys sitting in rooms like me in their crib give you the impression that they're just savants and no, they're not. They're just giving their opinion, and that's what I'm going to do for you all. I am aware. I have watched a few of these games. I've watched a few of these guys at work, but don't let people convince you that they just know everything. We don't. These are opinions, and that's all I'm doing here. So in my opinion, if I had to give my top 3 of this list, it would have to first start with an in-house guy that is, I guess, not included on this list because the Carolina Panthers don't need to seek permission to interview him simply because he's already on staff. That being current defensive coordinator Ejiro Evero. In my opinion, I believe that this is the number one hire that we could potentially make, and that is for these following reasons. First and foremost, I believe that throughout the league, there are more up-and-coming offensive coordinators and quote-unquote offensive minds that will get a bite of the apple over the next 5 to 10 years, much more so than the likes of defensive coordinators. You rarely hear about who are the young, excelling defensive coordinators coming through the pipeline. So when you have a force, the likes of an Ejiro Evero, a force multiplier, somebody that has proven his worth year after year with different teams, not with the Rams, then to the Broncos, and now here with the Carolina Panthers, his impact on the defense is just undeniable, and it jumps off the screen at you, whether it be the schemes that he runs or just the level of play that he's able to get out of middling players. Ejiro Evero is a very special talent on the defensive side of the ball. So I believe keeping him in-house and even giving him the overall head job, I believe there is value in keeping that level of stability with your defense on this team as you still look to build the offense, as I'm pretty sure everybody is aware, and I am aware also, that the priority right now, number one, will be building the offense and making sure that we can tailor this team for Bryce Young's future. I personally just hope that if we were to keep the likes of an Ejiro Evero as we progress this offense and as we do get things together for Bryce Young, when the offense finally does come to fruition, I don't want the defense to have been so depleted because it had been neglected because of lack of draft capital, lack of interest in free agency. I don't want for when the offense finally does become good that we just have a trash-ass defense. Now, with Ejiro Evero, as I mentioned, him being a force multiplier and getting the best out of, basic players. These are practice squad players or giveaway players, getting traded for 6th-round draft pick players that he can throw out there and have one of the top defenses in the league year after year. I believe that there's just inherent value in that for your team, and that is something, in my opinion, that we should focus on and look towards more so than any other thing in this offseason. That's not me saying that I am against the team going in another direction, but if the decision was placed on my desk, I believe elevating Ejiro Evero to be the head coach would be the number one decision in my opinion, man. But the secondary guy is the big-time name that everybody and anybody that watches NFL football already knows, that the Carolina Panthers' current owner, David Tepper, has had an infatuation with this guy ever since last year. And one of the reasons why we ended up with Frank Reich is because Ben Johnson, the guy who I'm talking about, elected to go back to Detroit after having his breakout season over with Dan Campbell and Jared Goff just 1 year ago. He doubled up on that and improved in a linear fashion, showing that he can build upon what he has already established, even with new players and moving pieces in and out. What he does is going to continue to progress, and that is something that is very promising for a potential coach coming here to the Carolina Panthers. So, although yes, this is the popular pick, this is the one that everybody wants, I'm not gonna go out here and just try to be contrarian and make up reasons why Ben Johnson wouldn't be an excellent pick. I absolutely believe that he would be a great pick. If David Tepper is actually able to pull this off, I think that would be excellent. I believe that the offense would immediately see an uptick in production. I believe that Bryce Young will escape this bust label that everybody outside of the Carolina Panthers fan base and a lot of people within the Carolina Panthers fan base after just one season are already placing on him. I think that would immediately go out the window. I think the team would score more than just 8 touchdowns over the last 10 weeks or something like that. I believe all of those problems would go away, and at least in the immediate future, if Ejiro Evero was not fortunate enough to be hired off to be a head coach on another team, I think after at least 1 year, after not hiring Ejiro Evero for a second go around, after he was interviewed and not hired, and Frank Wright got the job, and they still wanted to pay him to come here, and they say, you know what, we're going to interview you again. And if he doesn't get the job, like, Ejiro Evero is out the door. Whenever his contractual obligations are over with, he's not going to give a damn about Tepper's money at that point. I am going to go seek my opportunities elsewhere where I actually do have potential for growth. Where I came here and I did wonders with this terrible ass roster of defensive players that your GM left me to work with this season. Yeah, I'm Ejiro Evero will be out the door. So I think that would be a byproduct of getting Ben Johnson. But if Ben Johnson is all that all that people have hyped him up to be, I think losing Ejiro Evero on the back end of that would be worth it. And if the team just saw better fortunes than we have in recent memory, nobody would even make a big whoop about that. That's just me making a simple observation, man. So I want to make the point that Ben Johnson has, like I said, has shown linear progression, though it may not like be steady as it has been over the last 2 seasons. He has proven that he can build upon progress, and the biggest thing is that he is doing this with a quarterback that many people wrote off. He got traded, the young boy wonder coach in Sean McVay no longer wanted Jared Goff and casted him aside. He ends up in Detroit, and he has been absolutely balling out over the last 2 seasons where he has been alongside Ben Johnson. So that shows you the inherent value of him, not only as a coordinator, but the impact that he can have on a young QB, as he's already done it with he's already done wonders with a relatively limited QB that people, piled on very heavily in the past, similar to what we're hearing them currently do to our guy Bryce Young, man. But finally, I want to talk about the last potential candidate that I think would be a good fit here in Carolina. And this is a shot in the dark because he's not even somebody that has been, approached by the team. But this is just somebody that I think would be good here in Carolina. And that is Eric Bieniemy, former offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs, current offensive coordinator of the Washington Commanders. I believe Eric Bieniemy is more than due for his opportunity, and I believe just the overall type of man that he is, if you have ever actually listened to him speak, the way that he carries himself, the way that he can command a room, I believe that bringing in Eric Bieniemy in so many ways would be the equivalent to bringing in the equivalent to an offensive Steve Wilks. Because the things that I am about to go on and say, or that I could go on and say about how Bieniemy is a leader of men, how he commands respect, how he can command greatness, how he can get the most out of players, how he can command the locker room. These are all things that are synonymous with Steve Wilks as well, and with us seeing how good of an impact and nearly great of an impact that Steve Wilks was able to have on the turnaround of this team just 1 year ago. If the issue that we have currently is offense, bringing in a Super Bowl winning offensive coordinator that can change the tune of your locker room, that is sure to bring in a lot of support, because the legends of this team are absolute dogs, and that is what Eric Bieniemy is going to demand that everybody that he allows to be on the field is. I believe that this could be a good move. This could be a more than good move. This could be a great move, not only for the betterment of the impactfulness and the effectiveness of the team, but just getting back to bringing back some type of culture, that hard-nosed, keep pounding, it is what it is, we some dogs, this is what we go do. Like, we need that. And I believe of these 3 guys, I believe Eric Bieniemy would probably be the one that could most bring that. So I guess a question that I pose to you all is, how valuable is that to you? although everybody will agree that Ben Johnson schematically can bring the most value to the offense. Where do you rank that among how valuable that would be as opposed or in comparison to just the impact that Eric Bieniemy could just have on the entire roster, more so than just the offense? Like, that's something that I like to hear you all, or I like to know you all's opinion of that down in the comments, man. But we only have one more segment in this video before I let you all get up out of here, and that is we are going to now talk about potential GM candidates. As I mentioned in the first block of this video, Scott Fitterer is out the door. He will no longer be committing his football crimes in Carolina. He's doing whatever he does, still getting a paycheck, so don't feel too bad. But as of or similar to how the official Carolina Panthers website is tracking the potential coaching interviews, they have a similar tracker for general managers as well. So as of now, on Monday, the team requested permission to interview the following: the Giants, Brandon Brown; Buccaneers, Mike Greenberg; the Chiefs, Brant Tillis; the Eagles, Alec Haley; the Saints, Kai Harley; the Ravens, Nick Mateo; Colts, Ed Dobbs; and the Raiders, Champ Kelly. In addition to that, over the last 2 days or a day or so, 2 additional names have been added to that list that you can see there. That is Will Dissner of the Lions, as well as Will McClay of the Dallas Cowboys. So that is the rundown of all of the potential coaching or GM candidates that the Carolina Panthers have officially come out and said we have requested, or I guess it has to go on the books because they have to reach us. So they've made the announcement that all of these guys are potential candidates here. So as I did with the coaching candidates, I just wanted to provide you all with my thoughts on looking at this list and who I think would be the best of these candidates. Now, as I had to give a caveat before I got into speaking about the coaches, I am going to do the same thing here. Now, even more so than when I was talking about the coaches, me and I believe most people out there don't know a damn thing about these people. Not shit, y'all. Not nothing. Please know that what I'm basing my opinion off of is a very generic sample size that I am not even totally sure has that much to do with these people. But that's what a resume is about. If you say you used to work at Google or you used to work at Apple corporate or something like that, nobody really gives a damn what your title was. You used to work at Google. You used to work at Apple corporate. So my reason for picking these guys is similar to that example. First being my number one pick would be Will McClay, who would come to us by way of the Dallas Cowboys. He has been a name that I have heard over the airways for years, and just because they spam stories about the Cowboys on TV, so I would always hear about Will McClay when it would come to draft time and stuff like that. But all I know is the Dallas Cowboys have drafted more Pro Bowlers by damn near a mile than any other team in the last 20 years, and it is not even close. Looking at overall team success in terms of wins and losses is not the exact same as looking at how good the damn players this team has drafted have been. And during his time with the Dallas Cowboys, Will McClay has been in various positions, worn various hats in the front office, has worked with various executives, and I believe that he, of course, had to have played at least a little part in a few of these guys, or at least been able to soak in the knowledge of why these guys were selected. Understand this guy is a good scout because of this. This guy helped me pick. This guy assisted in picking this late round guy that turned out to be a good player. So therefore, just all of these things. And just for an example, Will McClay is on a team, the Dallas Cowboys, that experienced something this year that whenever it happens to the Carolina Panthers, or whenever it has happened to the Carolina Panthers over the last 3 years, it has seemed like damn near the sky started falling as soon as it happened. Now, what am I talking about? The Dallas Cowboys experienced their star all-pro cornerback Trayvon Diggs. He had I don't know what the injury was, so I was going to say an ACL, but I'm not sure. I was just going to say that shit, but I'm not sure. He had a season-ending injury early in the season. They insert Deron Bland, a later round draft pick, and it is as if Trayvon Diggs never even left the damn field. Now, why is that? That's because they draft good. They have players waiting in the wings that are waiting for that really do have that next man up mentality, because they truly may be just as good as the man that was in front of them. That's some old like Alabama type stuff right there. Like, where the backups are better than your team. Like, that is pro scouting to a T. That is making sure that you have dogs laced throughout every position on both sides of your roster. Now, Will McClay has been a part of a team that has been able to do that better than any other team in the league in terms of identifying these players out of college, taking them in the draft, and developing them in a short period of time and making them an impactful NFL player. So for all of those reasons, that just makes me believe that the likes of a Will McClay bringing even half of that knowledge and how-to over to the Carolina Panthers will make a tremendous difference in our fortunes for the near future, because what he did what they were able to do in just that example alone with the cornerbacks is something that would have completely crippled the Carolina Panthers, because when J.C. Horn goes down, everything has gone out the window for the last couple of years. We can't guard nobody. Dante Jackson loses like 10 overall points on Madden. He becomes even shittier than he is already. It just gets bad. But the Dallas Cowboys and Will McClay were able to fight through that because of preparation. And I would love for him to bring that downtown to Mint Street, man. But my second and my final candidate that I am going to talk about in this video for my GMs is going to be a relatively unknown name. And trust me, I had no idea who this man was before reading his name or from an announcement from like Shefty or somebody on Twitter. This is Alec Haley or Halaby. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that in any way wrong in any way, shape, or form. I do not mean any disrespect to anybody's family name whatsoever, but this guy has been a member of the Eagles organization for over a decade now, and in 2022 he was assigned the role of assistant general manager to whom is the best damn GM in the entirety of the league. I don't give a damn who you're asking. 9 times out of 10, the answer to that question of who is the best GM in the league is going to be Howie Roseman of the Philadelphia Eagles. And this man worked hand in hand, side by side with him in the front office for over a year at this point, dating back to over a decade, just working in the Eagles front office altogether. Now, I don't know anything about what he's actually done. I don't know shit about what he's actually provided. But as I mentioned, this guy worked for Google. Like this guy worked for Apple executive branch or whatever. So when I saw that shit on his resume, it just leapfrogs. It makes him, at least in my eyes, I know that people don't learn things through osmosis, but you gotta imagine that people rub off, knowledge is passed down, how to is given, and when you have a guy that has been with the guy for however long, like I said, nearly over a decade in the Eagles front office in various positions, you have to assume, or you have to at least be willing to take a shot that guy has learned a thing or two and he can bring that over to your franchise. So for that reason, reason, I believe that Alec Haley, because of working side by side with Howie Roseman, if not for any other reason, at least deserves very high consideration for this job, man. But those are just my thoughts on this whole thing, man. But what do you all think about all of this that has gone down? What do you all think about these potential coaches? What do you all think about these potential GMs? Are you happy that Fitterer is finally out the building? The reign of treachery is finally over. Maybe we can hit on a few early draft picks in this next coming year, but we don't have a first thanks to Fitterer. All that good shit, man. All I'm saying. Don't make no excuses for the man. But again, what do you all think, man? Make sure to leave your comments down in the comment section, and I will be sure to get back to you whenever I can. My move is complete. I am in a new space now. Me and my girl we moving on up in this world. Everything isn't set up in here as of right now, but it will be soon. I appreciate you all waiting it out and coming back to tune in for me after my little hiatus there, man. But until next time, I am Jamario Rashad. This is the way I see it, and I'm out. Peace.